12 rounds, ding ding, sick and tired of the whole.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Post Fight Podcast. I am Nick Atkin from SCMP Martial Arts. We're delighted to be joined again by Hong Kong's AFC middleweight champion Sasha Palatnikov and first time guest, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt Viking Wong. Viking, how you doing, man?
Hi, delighted to be here.
Yeah, you are in for a good time, sir. It's very fun. Sasha will tell you, right?
Oh yeah, great time.
Yeah, Sasha was here last week breaking down his fight. This time we will be breaking down Ben Askren against Demian Maia at UFC Singapore. That's why we got Viking in, because of his jiu-jitsu credentials. We wanted to get his take on it, obviously with Demian Maia being a Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt too. Viking, I know you watched the fight. Can you give me your immediate take?
To be honest, it wasn't really a surprise. I thought Maia...
I should say, sorry, it was a third round submission by a rear naked choke at 3:54. So Askren nearly hung on. Anyway, please continue.
Yeah. Actually, it wasn't really much of a surprise, to be honest. Although my immediate thought was that it wasn't as far out as everyone said it was. So the first two rounds, actually, it looked quite close. I mean, they were the first round, I believe Maia had some more. He was tagging Askren quite a bit.
For sure.
But then
How
Askren,
did you feel the stand-up was going?
Oh, I mean, I kind of thought Maia would actually have the advantage in the striking, but to that extent, I honestly just thought it would just be kind of a slugfest. But I thought Maia did well and was moving well to avoid, obviously, Askren's takedowns. But
he did get that big one at the end, so
first round.
I'm not sure how that was scored. It was.
I had Askren ahead
quite
going into the third round. I think Sasha, you had Maia going in ahead.
Yeah, it was close. I think I would have said maybe one round apiece going in. But again, I think it was just one of those things. Whenever a wrestler gets tired, the jiu-jitsu guy will take the position from his back all day.
Because we were expecting that that battle between the grappler and the jiu-jitsu, and for the first round and a half, it was kind of like watching a drunk bar fight of two guys piecing each other up a bit. I loved Askren's spinning back elbow. You saw that.
Askren's striking, yeah, it was some of his technique is quite laughable.
Yeah, but he was marking up Maia's face a bit.
Yeah,
it was funny. But yeah, once it went to the ground in the second round, I thought Maia looked a lot more dangerous. I don't know. He nearly. What was that? The sweep in the second round. You were.
Well, Maia did he shot for a triangle and then switched it to an omoplata, but then managed to get the omoplata sweep from there, which is quite rare for MMA or even no-gi because of the sweat factor. So every time actually when Askren took him down, he managed to sweep him straight back, and so it wasn't much of an advantage besides scoring for the round. So I guess also gunning for the takedown, Ben sort of gassed himself out a little bit. So entering the third round, it was the same thing, but obviously he made a little mistake, and you can't give your back to Maia.
Yeah,
Maia's a god on the ground.
Yeah, 3 defeats in the last 5 years, all to champions in the welterweight division: Tyron Woodley, Colby Covington, and Kamaru Usman.
The thing is, I don't think people actually know how good Maia is on the ground, besides like hardcore jiu-jitsu fans. Because before he went to MMA, he's actually already he was a world champion and an ADCC world champion. And to give you a certain aspect of how good he is, he beat Jacare in a gi, and Jacare's a middleweight. So
yeah,
he's
and then the one thing with Maia that's even more it's admirable, you could say, that there are guys that have competed in the highest level, even Roger Gracie, but it was something that Demian Maia was able to evolve his game for MMA, for jiu-jitsu in the sport of MMA, because he doesn't have the gi.
For sure.
And like you were saying with the omoplata sweep, it's not something you commonly see, but he's able to execute it because he's at such a high level.
So surprised.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, put some respect on his name, I think. That's what the
100%.
kids say. Where does Ben Askren go from here, Sasha?
Honestly, Ben Askren, I think he needs another fight, but maybe someone on the border of the top 15 or just outside of it. Maybe he bit off more than he could chew when he first came into the UFC.
I mean, that Robbie fight, controversial finish.
I would love to see that run back.
Yeah,
but
why
I'm
not?
pretty sure Robbie Lawler would take that in a heartbeat, but
That makes sense.
Ben
to me.
Askren probably doesn't want to run that one back. But if they were to do it, I would not tune in, and hopefully I would like to see Ben maybe fight someone with a little bit lower experience in terms of grappling and
He did
striking.
have 2 straight like tough fights.
Yeah.
They
it
weren't
wasn't
easy. Yeah.
Top 10. You know.
So he went in.
But when you talk that game that he talks, he's a trash talker, he's a troll. You got to back it up, haven't you? And Ben's fallen short of his own standards, he says.
He is an Olympian. I mean, that's
Yeah, but
You know.
it's a step up in competition.
It's
I've gotta
MMA.
say.
It's not wrestling.
Yeah, and Jorge Masvidal is a killer. Robbie Lawler was a killer too. Maia is a different type of killer. What would you say is next for Demian though, Viking? If you're looking at it, he's got 2 more fights on his contract. He's 41. How much longer do you think he can still go at that level at that age?
I think he's just sort of looking to finish the contract. He has been saying he wants to retire for quite a while. I mean, he's had 2 title shots, 1 or 2.
Yeah.
2 different divisions.
Yeah. So I don't see. I don't know. Maybe 1 more, but I mean, his games. I don't think his games at where the title shot would be, but he's definitely a tough fight for anyone.
George Masvidal's agent said he'd spoken to Masvidal, and Masvidal said when he wins the belt, presuming not the BMF belt, the actual belt, he would like to give Maia and run it back with Maia, because they had that fight. Obviously, it went Maia's way, right? Controversial in Masvidal's mind. He'd like to give it another go. He said, "Don't retire just yet. I'll give you a shot." Would you like to see that, Sasha? How do you think it would go this time?
I mean, yeah, honestly, I think Masvidal would win that fight pretty comfortably. But honestly, from what I've heard now, they were saying Diego Sanchez was called out by Demian Maia, and he answered and said he'd like to run that fight. But I'm not sure if Diego is actually currently signed by the UFC. I don't even know. I heard
Why Diego?
I heard. I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Legend.
Well,
I don't know. Maybe Demian Maia sees a good opportunity to get another win. You know, at this point in his career, he can kind of pick his fights, right? So, if Diego Sanchez is a fight that happens, I would tune in for sure. But I could see it also going Demian Maia's way quite convincingly.
Did he also call out Nate, or was I hearing things?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was difficult to hear.
I'm not sure. I only heard from what I've heard from today was they were saying Diego Sanchez, and he responded by saying he would take that fight. But I also listened to Dave LeDuc on Joe Rogan podcast today, and
Oh, was that today?
yeah, and he's the left-way champ.
Yeah, I
and he
love
was saying
Dave. Shout out to Dave.
Yes,
SCMP. We're going to try and get him on this podcast. Yeah.
And Diego was also saying, Dave was saying that Diego was getting in touch to look for left-way fights because he's not signed by the UFC anymore. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, well, Diego, does he even have a coach anymore?
He's kind of gone off the deep end a little bit.
Well, so we have the BMF belt coming up.
Remember the wheel.
Classic.
Yeah. Who knows what's going on with Diego, but Demian floated the idea of having a best grapplers or best jiu-jitsu and grapplers belt. And we've got all these belts now.
I think
BMF.
it's a good idea.
What do you think, Viking? Would you like to see some kind of gimmick for that in the UFC?
I wouldn't mind. I mean, I'm always up for competitions or looking at watching them. But I pretty much just miss the good old, pre-USADA days where everyone's slugging for it.
Yeah, it's
full gear.
It's a different era now, and one thing for sure is Ben is possibly facing the end. 35. He said today he might retire. I think he should stick around and take that Lawler rematch and then work his way up. It's his life goal to become UFC champion, why would you give up after 1 year? It was 1 year ago to the day that he signed and did that blockbuster trade with Demetrius Johnson, going to one championship. I know he's 1-2 big losses, but you know, Rome wasn't built in a day, was it?
No, you should. I agree. I think you should definitely continue to compete. But again, we as fans can say that all day. But as a competitor, if he doesn't wake up and he's not hungry to get in the gym and work, and he has other plans or future ambitions, then you know, good luck in those. But
yeah,
of course, I'd love to see him fight again.
Yeah, he said you know, it's 35 hours or so a week he puts into MMA related things, not just training. Is it worth putting that time in? As someone who trains himself for fights, you know the slog that it is, the grind. Would you be tempted in that regard to walk away when you get to that age? He's achieved a lot. He's been a champion in ONE and Bellator.
I mean, personally, again, it all depends. Everyone is different.
Yeah.
I wake up every day with the goal to just get better. And if he's lost that and he doesn't want to get better, he doesn't want to train, there's no point going in there and taking the risk on your health to fight guys that are absolute monsters who want to. I mean, you can look. This is no judgment on physique, but you look at his physique and compare to some of the other welterweights, and you can tell. Even my dad, who's not like a huge fan, but you can say, look, the guy looks like he doesn't even put in the work. I mean, he put in the work to get to the Olympics, but that was maybe 10 years ago. And you saw what Jordan Burroughs did to him. You know, so if you're not at that level, if you're not at your highest level, and you're kind of just maybe half-assing it a little bit, then it can come back to bite you. I'm sure Viking will speak just the same for competitive jiu-jitsu. If you're not on your game and you're competing against the best, you're going to end up getting smashed. And
I mean, we love the dad bod. It's a bit funny, but at that level, it's maybe no joke. You've got to be in shape. Viking, what would you say? Is it different for jiu-jitsu in terms of you can go longer than maybe an MMA career? Because MMA, you're probably going to be winding up around your late 30s, but jiu-jitsu maybe without the striking aspect and taking punches to the face.
I think at world-class level, all combat sports are the same, because no matter if it's wrestling, judo, jiu-jitsu, striking, you're taking different damage, different to your body, and so I think it also depends on what's happening to your life at that moment, at that point in time, where you might lose motivation or the will to win, or some values of winning changes. Then you just don't want to train, or you don't want to train hard. It's very taxing on the body. I don't think not any average Joes can just understand how it is as a combat athlete, no matter what the discipline is. But obviously with striking and with the MMA guys, they might take a bit more damage to the head, and so each to their own, I think, But even for like Olympic athletes, swimming, running, there's mileage on your body in different areas. So he's already been through wrestling and then now MMA, but he's had a good run at one championship as well. So this is like almost like his third run.
Has it come too late?
I don't know. It's you can't really tell with these things. Only he could tell. He would know. Do
you think, Sasha, if Dana and Ben hadn't had that beef that was going on, no one really knows why they were angry at each other, if he'd come in 5 years earlier or longer, he maybe would have had a better shot at getting the title?
It's possible, but also it has to take into context that the fights that he had outside of the UFC only helped him progress himself, develop into a better athlete, develop into the champion that he was in both. And you can see now the results are there. The Bellator competition, the guys he was fighting there, the guys in ONE, you saw they were taking out guys that were former UFC. So again, where it was, how it was, sure, it's some unfortunate circumstances that he wasn't in the UFC earlier, but he was still winning. He was still ranked in the world as one of the best welterweights. Maybe
he's very dominant as well.
Very dominant. And again, because of that, it maybe didn't get as much traction because he wasn't so much of a striker, putting guys out by knockout. Again, this is the normal formula. People want to see finishes, and they want to see exciting fighters. Ben doesn't really have that. He has an incredible style in his wrestling, but that's...
He said it today, though. It says people think I'm boring, I don't have exciting fights. All 3 of his UFC fights have been pretty exciting for one reason or another, I think.
That's true.
Yeah, and some suggested maybe the UFC won't even offer him another fight. I'm sure they will. He drives ratings, he gets money in, he talks a good game.
Yeah.
He's still a valuable asset, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I want to see him fight again, definitely.
same.
Maybe take a bit of time off. It's been a long year, 3 fights in 1 year. I would have liked to see him maybe not come back so quick after that Masvidal knockout. The way he was lying on the floor was crazy. You know, he was still groggy walking out of the cage. I thought he could have maybe taken the rest.
Well, at the end, Demian did put a body triangle in him.
No,
before he squeezed it, that would have squeezed everything out.
The Masvidal one, he looked terrible, but I wouldn't have minded if Ben had just waited till 2020, and now I think he maybe thinks the same. Not to presume what Ben Askren's thinking, but anyway, that's that. We'll see what Ben does. Viking, what's next for you with your jiu-jitsu? Are you going to be representing Hong Kong anytime soon?
Yeah, actually, we are sending a team of 1.
Yeah, yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
To the JJIF Worlds next month, which is
where's this?
In Abu Dhabi.
Okay.
So we'll look to maybe finish it strong for this one. I would have liked to take a bigger team, but we don't really have full-time athletes, and everyone took their holidays off already at the Asians. So.
Well,
so, yeah.
We'll be watching you, Viking, and good luck. Hopefully bring some medals back. You can put them on the table here.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah, well, thanks for joining us, and thank you for...
Also, good luck to Sasha.
Yeah, good luck to Sasha. His fight's coming up New Year's Day. That's correct, in Korea.
Yeah.
We're going to try and get down there and give you some first-hand interviews and all that with Sasha. But all I will say now is thanks for watching. Please subscribe to SCMP Martial Arts, like this video, leave us a comment down below, and see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
12 rounds, ding ding. Sick and tired of the whole damn thing, yeah. Stick a move in the ring. You can hit me with the words you fling.